That's one of the tragedies of this whole case, is that the victim is always forgotten. It's all about Michael Alig and sometimes about Freeze. It's never about Angel. Andre Angel Melendez was one of hundreds of young people that answered the call from Michael Alig on the daily talk shows like Geraldo. If you were a misfit and you didn't fit in where you lived, the club kids wanted you to come to New York and party with them. His story would end in tragedy when he was unalived by the very man he looked up to. The unaliving of Angel Melendez would not only bring the demise of the entire club kid scene and change New York City nightlife forever, but it would also become international news, inspiring books, a movie, 2 documentaries, and several episodes of crime television series, including an episode of American Justice. Melendez was born on May 1st, 1971 in Colombia, and in 1979, 8-year-old Andre and his brother Johnny picked up and moved with their family to the United States. In the late 1980s, a nightlife scene called Club Kids emerged to fill the void after the passing of Andy Warhol. By the early 1990s, the Club Kids had become an international phenomenon, appearing in TV talk shows and traveling internationally to make public appearances. And 21-year-old Andre wanted very much to be a part of it. Andre was a pier queen, a reference to an area of the New York waterfront where gay men would cruise for encounters. He was a tough street kid and hung around the West Village piers. He was street smart and was a regular at CBGB's. He began dealing allegedly in the late 1990s to support himself and soon was allegedly dealing at Peter Gation's mega clubs. Ernie Glam, via Glory Days, The Life and Times of Michael Alig documentary, said, Angel had this really dark side to him, like a really dark, violent side. As the Club Kid phenomenon continued to grow, so did the parties that Club Kid King Michael Alig threw, and at these parties, Michael wanted there to be substances available. So several dealers were employed by Alig to distribute these substances to the partygoers, and one of these dealers was Andre Melendez. The New York Times reported on September 11, 1997 that, quote, Mr. Melendez's brother, John Melendez, said that Mr. Melendez had considered it glamorous to associate with someone so well known. There is footage online of Angel Melendez attending one of Michael Alig's infamous outlaw parties at a Burger King in 1990. The Fabulous Wonder Twins have uploaded footage of Angel onto their YouTube channel from a Style Summit outlaw party in 1993. Melendez was now becoming well known in his own right, and he was well liked at Jackie 60, a party that ran every Tuesday from 1990 to 1999. You couldn't miss those wings he was wearing, the wings that would garner him the nickname Angel. The Andre Angel Melendez memorial page shared a photo Gregory Kennel had posted of himself and Angel. Here's some of what Kennel wrote about Angel. Quote, Andre was sweet, confused, and a little bit vulnerable, thus the menacing appearance of his beautiful Statue of Liberty mohawk. Although Angel had now become part of the Club Kid scene, the inner circle around leader Michael Alig did not care for him. James St. James saying, quote, Angel, didn't like Angel very much. Alig's former partner, DJ Kiyoki, said, quote, no, I really didn't care for Angel too much. I avoided him as much as possible, especially if I owed him money. Michael's follower. Neither did Alig himself like Angel. Michael said, quote, Angel was somebody who saw a Geraldo or heard of the Club Kids and moved to New York, and hey, I want to be like that without actually knowing what it's like. Astro Earl said, quote, he was a poser. He was basically a poser. That all being said, I love the guy. Very sweet. Very nice. Writer Frank Owens, who broke the story of Angel's disappearance for the Village Voice, told Glory Days, quote, if Angel didn't have drugs, they would not have allowed him to hang around. But this did not stop Michael Alig from moving Angel into his apartment at 3K 560 West 43rd Street. Michael Alig required an almost constant supply, and Angel was one of 3 dealers that were living with him. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads from Retro Room. One of the other 3 dealers living with Michael was Robert Freeze Riggs. In 1994, Angel appeared on an episode of Geraldo titled Beyond the Glitz and Glamour. Ernie Glam said, quote, Angel, like always, had this paranoia that people were making fun of him, or that people secretly didn't like him, or that we were all laughing about him behind his back. It seems in hindsight that Melendez was not in fact suffering paranoia, but rather was just picking up on the obvious truth, that there were many around Alig who didn't like Angel. He was merely being tolerated. Promoter Steve Lewis told Glory Days, quote, I didn't like Angel. I thought he was a piece of shit, personally. You know, if you could just line up all the people that should die, you know, in this world, he'd be near the front. Another quote from Astro Earl was, quote, Michael went over to me and was like, God, Astro, I just wish he was dead. But there were many outside of Michael Alig's inner circle who did like Angel. Screamin' Rachel said, quote, Of course I loved Michael, and on the other hand, I was friends with Angel. Jim Dana, promoter and patron, said, quote, Couldn't miss him with those wings. He was a nice guy. I always felt like he came in from the side, but then tried to be a part of them. Limelight lighting tech Scott Osman said, quote, Yeah, he was really nice. Yeah, I never got an evil vibe from him. He was not accepted on the level of Michael's complete inner circle. He seemed like a pretty cool guy. We'd see him every Wednesday or Saturday. In September of 1995, the Limelight was raided by federal agents. They padlocked the club and began an investigation into owner Peter Gation. After the raid, Angel was fired. This was the point where he had moved in with Michael Alig. 3 months before Michael Alig's arrest, he said on camera about Angel, quote, He was a copycat. He was one of those copycats that we hate, so we killed him. James St. James told the Party Monster shockumentary, quote, The last thing I ever said to Angel was, What are you doing there? I can't believe you're still there. You are such an idiot. Move away. Get out of that apartment, Angel. What are you doing? Leading up to the terrible events of March 17, 1996, Angel Melendez had reportedly saved up a sum of $3,000. When Angel arrived at the apartment of Michael Alig, there was a verbal altercation over money, which escalated into a physical altercation, which again ultimately escalated into the unaliving and dismemberment of Andre Angel Melendez by Michael Alig and Robert Riggs. Daniel Oster was present at the time and would later be charged with theft of $3,000 from Angel after the fact. Angel's brother, Johnny Melendez, began looking for him, but he got the impression right away that police didn't care. He told the Party Monster shockumentary, quote, He's probably wearing his wings right now, his real wings. The last time I talked to him was in February. I knew he wasn't around, so I beeped him. My aunt beeped him. He didn't answer. So I went to the police to fill a missing persons report. They didn't pay no attention. They didn't even want to make a missing persons report. So right there, I was at 0. I didn't have nobody investigating. So I started investigating myself. I made up flyers, black and white flyers with a $4,000 reward. If anybody's seen him, so I started showing people, do you know this guy? Yeah, I know him. I seen him in line. I seen him hanging down here, Christopher Street. I seen him by the bay. So yeah, they told me, oh yeah, I know him. Do you know where he is? No, they don't know. They don't want to say nothing. It's like they don't give a damn about my brother. They just killed a mosquito or something, you know, a roach or something. I spoke to Michael Alig. He didn't want to face me. He was facing this way and that way and looking and, you know, he didn't want to look at me in the eyes because me and my brother, we look a lot alike. So right there I said, no, this guy is guilty. He's not saying the truth. In an unaired portion of the interview that Screamin' Rachel did for the Party Monster shockumentary, she said, quote, when Johnny Melendez, which is Angel's brother, began calling me and saying, Rachel, We know you know more than what you're saying, and you were friends with my brother, and my brother was a human being. Why aren't you coming forward and saying anything? All along, and even to this day, going through therapy, still going through therapy about this incident, is I still cannot accept the fact that Angel is dead, and I cannot accept the fact that a friend of mine had something to do with it. In other words, to me, it's like living out a bad movie and not believing any of it. This put pressure on law enforcement. It had been alleged that because the DEA had already been watching Michael Alig due to their Peter Gatien investigation, law enforcement likely already knew that Michael had unalived Angel. But because Michael was the prosecution's key witness in their racketeering case against him, and the majority of their case was based on information that he had provided, so allegedly they turned a blind eye, that is, until they could no longer keep it quiet. After the unaliving of Melendez and under the influence, Michael confessed to multiple people in and out of his circle. It wasn't long before people began to notice that Angel was missing, and the rumor of Alig's confession began to explode. Then, on June 25, 1996, the Village Voice ran with a cover story, Clubland, detailing the rumors that had been circulating about the now MIA Angel Melendez. Frank Owen wrote, quote, "Some say promoter Michael Alig killed Angel Melendez, some say it's a hoax. Frank Owens investigates, page 29. Now, under mounting scrutiny and gossip, Michael Alig made the decision to flee New York with fellow club kid Gitzi Hataja. The pair made their way to visit friend and fellow club kid Screamin' Rachel in Chicago. Michael would later describe this visit as a big mistake. Shortly after the visit, Screamin' Rachel recorded the song Freedom, Murder in Clubland. She said of Freedom, quote, "There's a little backwards loop in the song. Michael, where's Angel? Michael, where's Angel?" Angel's remains would be discovered by some playing children on Staten Island in March or April of 1996. There are conflicting reports about when the remains were discovered. Once Angel's remains had been identified, Michael Alig and Robert Fries-Riggs were finally arrested and charged with murder. After taking a plea deal, they were both sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison for the unaliving. Angel was 24 when his life was taken from him, less than 2 months shy of his 25th birthday. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like always, leave a comment if you have anything to say in the section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, I will see you guys again for my next upload.